Every console, whether you like to admit it or not, needs a gimmick, a special something that helps show off what it can do. Sometimes that game is a packing game like Tetris or Wii Sports, because, let's be honest, when you first saw that this was going to be the new way of playing, it's safe to say that a lot of people, including myself, were not best pleased. What am I doing here, playing Mario Kart or changing the volume on my TV? However, a killer bit of software at launch, or even during a system's life, can make or break a console. It's never too late. Remember the whole Genesis does what Nintendo don't advert? Well, most people don't realise this, but this advert came out before Sonic the Hedgehog. There was no defeating Nintendo back then, not even with Sega's 16-bit machine. It had no chance against the utterly fantastic Super Mario Bros. For the NES, even with its donkey punch marketing methods. Nope, without a killer app, you are going to have a hard time succeeding with your console. Which brings me to Chu Chu Rocket. Now, some might say Sonic Adventure was the true system seller, as it's what our Sonic fans wanted since day one of the Saturn. And sure, it's a little bit dated now, but guaranteed, this game massively helped the Dreamcast in its early days. There's still some excellent fun to have in this game. Like I said, it's dated, but for the time, this was most people's first experience with a 3D rendered Sonic. Losers, I had Sonic Jan. Anyway, Sonic Adventure was really just that, a fanboy's wet dream. Sure, it showed off the graphical capabilities of the Dreamcast, but it didn't really show off the Dreamcast's ace up its backside. A modem. Yep, unlike Sony's PlayStation 2 or any major console before it, you didn't need to buy the modem separately for the Dreamcast. Every single Dreamcast had one of these. And it wasn't until about 1 month after the release of Sonic Adventure that us Brits that signed up online with our Dreamcast actually started hearing rumblings about a free online play game. Yep, that's right, the game was completely free, but only for those that signed up online with their Dreamcast. Sega wanted to teach us that playing online with absolute strangers was the future, and what's better is that the game also worked 100% perfectly locally too. Let's take a look. You know how just the jingle and theme of old school games make your hair stand on end and just really get you excited about wanting to go back and play it? Well, I get that feeling with both the Sonic Team jingle and the crazy drum and bass infused title screen. So here we go. It's simple enough. You have a 12x9 chessboard-like grid. The mice, or should I say choo-choos, come zooming out of these things in a straight line, only turning right when they hit a wall or turning completely around at a dead end. You got these 4 rockets, one of which is yours indicated by the colour, and your job is to direct the choo-choos away from your opponent's rockets and into yours. The way you do this is by dropping up to 4 arrows on the grid to direct all the choo-choos to your ship. The one with the most choo-choos wins. The main form of attack is to find a gap and redirect them to you. Now, what makes this frantic battle of arrows even more crazy is the implementation of cats, or as the game calls them, Kapu Kapus, who not only eat every single choo-choo they come into contact with, but also, if they go in your ship, you lose a third of all choo-choos you've stored up. Are you keeping up? Well, it gets even more manic. See, there are several types of choo-choos you can get. You got blue and white choo-choos that are the most common, and for every choo-choo you put in your rocket, you get 1 point. Then you have yellow choo-choos. These don't come up quite as often, but get one and you go up 50 points. And finally, you have pink and red choo-choos. These bad boys turn the manic level in the game up even further. For every single one of these you get, this happens. Now, there are several different gameplay options found here. Speed up, all your choo-choos and Kapu Kapus move more quickly. Slow down, all your choo-choos and Kapu Kapus move more slowly. Mouse Mania, all Kapu Kapus disappear and large numbers of choo-choos pour out from their hatches. Cat Mania. All Choo-Choos and Capu Capus disappear, and then all the Capu Capus will come out from their hatches. Mouse Monopoly. Choo-Choos flood into the player's rocket. This is your chance to boost up as much as you can. Cat Attack. A Capu Capu hits each other player's rocket. Place arrow again. All the arrows disappear and the game pauses for just a few seconds for you to put them all down again. Everybody move! The rockets switch places randomly, causing all your hard work to now end up in your opponent's favour. Put all this together and you get this, a massively addictive, great multiplayer game that's gonna hold up as a superb gaming experience, probably for the rest of time.
チューチューロケットネズミを助けろチューチューロケット猫は怖いチューチューロケットすごいズババババー
ドタバタアクションパズルチューチューロケット2800円安いドリームクラス
Now, like I said, this game was free at the beginning of its life, and in Japan they even was able to get this limited edition controller pack version of the game. Pretty damn nice if you ask me. God damn, the game even had DLC. You had to download this onto your VMU that would change the mice skins. For free, might I add. I'm looking at you, Sony, Xbox and Nintendo. Free skins. However, even though the game was not only popular and was most people's, including myself, first real experience of playing online games, it never got a sequel. However, even though the game never got a sequel, ports of the game came flooding in like nobody's business, and starting off was the Game Boy Advance version. It's pretty much what you would expect. I mean, the game wasn't exactly pushing any system limits in the first place. It's a brilliant little port, and was Sega's first ever Game Boy Advance game that they ever released. Now in Chu Chu Rocket, as well as your typical gameplay mode, you also got puzzle levels. Drop your arrows, press play, and see if your lemming-minded mice make it. The Dreamcast version had 100 of these levels. The Game Boy Advance version had 2,600 levels. Quite impressive. I doubt there are many people in the world that have finished this. The extra 2,500 levels actually came from the user-submitted levels from the Dreamcast days, which, if you ask me, is a really nice touch. I created tons of these levels back in the day, and although I would never be able to find them now, it's nice to know that some of my levels may have actually made an appearance on this cartridge. The game was also bundled a couple of times with other Sonic titles, such as the fantastic and for some reason never really talked about that much, Sonic Advance, and the oh so crappy I'm glad we don't talk about it, Sonic Battle. Unofficially in 2001, an Atari ST version of the game was released by Reservoir Gods, and surprisingly, it plays actually quite fine. For me, the real winner here is the amazing sprite work and the redone music for the hardware. I love stuff like this. However, back to the official stuff, an iOS and Android version were eventually released, and apart from the level editor, had about 50% of the puzzles from the Game Boy Advance version. Yeah, these are perfectly fine, except for the fact that they no longer exist in either of the stores. So looking back, it's safe to say that Chu Chu Rocket was not only a good game, but also quite a landmark in gaming, being most people's, including myself, first ever time playing online. And for that, you gotta tip your hat to both the Dreamcast and Chu Chu Rocket. What's crazy is that this game never got a sequel. Well actually, is it? It's a pretty basic game that done everything it was meant to do in that original console and its ports. I suppose all I'm really after is a kick-ass Wii U or 3DS game with loads of online modes. But let's be honest, that ain't gonna happen. However, every so often Sega do tease us with a little bit of Chu Chu in other Sega games. First up we have Sega Superstars for the PlayStation 2. You know that game? It was one of those early adopters of the iToy, where you basically lower a bridge and raise bridges to guide your Choo-Choos to a rocket. Then you have Sonic Battle, that game I mentioned previously. A pretty piss poor game in all honesty, minus the awesome design and artwork. However, players tails and perform the mine attack, and this basically creates an explosive blue Choo-Choo that chases your opponent. Next up, you have the obvious appearance in Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing, where you actually control the ChuChus in the race. What's cool about this is when you play your special move, you unleash a Capu Capu. Who here remembers Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg? A kick-ass little platformer for the GameCube that has also sort of just sat dormant since its release. Well, you can actually summon Capu Capus in an egg who attack any foe in their path. And finally, you have Sega Superstar Tennis. Here you have the Chu Chu's Rocket missions. It's a cool little mini game where you hit the ball to change the arrows ahead to redirect the ChuChus into their rockets. This and Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing games are easily the best cameos, and on top of everything else, are actually great games in their own right too. So, there you have it. A one-off game with a kick-ass legacy, quite surprising considering it has just that one game, plus its ports. It's a massive shame that the Sonic team headed by the Yuji Naka have something quite special here. Yeah, it might just seem like a puzzle game on the surface, but with the crazy competitive nature of multiplayer mixed with crazy amounts of puzzles, I personally think they have something brilliantly unique here. Come on Sega, calm down with your Puyo Puyo remakes and sequels. This is the Sega puzzler to end all Sega puzzlers. And yes, I'm even looking at you, Columns. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my Chu Chu Rocket, the complete story video. To keep it Dreamcast-like, I've got a link up the top left there called the Shenmue story, where I look at the entire franchise of Shenmue to this point. Next to that, you've got Sega's first ever mascot you never knew. No, it's not Opa Opa, it's not Alex Kidd, and it's not Sonic the Hedgehog. And finally, top right, you've got the top 10 Sega IPs that never got sequels. See if you agree with my number one spot. If you're not subscribed already, you've got that lovely subscribe button there. Come and find me on social media by searching for Slope's Game Room. And if you want to support the show that little bit extra and maybe see videos like this a week early, then click on that lovely P shape right in the middle of the screen. But for now, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.